My goal is to come into a room with our leadership team and be the lowest IQ person in that room. I don't need to tell everyone I'm the boss. Who cares? Let's just win. I'm Michael Mogill, founder and CEO of Crisp, the nation's #1 law firm growth company. I've built my business through practice, not theory. Crisp started with just $500 to my name and has grown to over 8 figures in revenue over the last few years, earning a spot on the Inc. 500 list of the fastest growing private companies in America. Our approach has been to take everything we've learned about generating massive growth within our own organization and help the country's most ambitious and committed law firm owners do the same for theirs. In each episode of this podcast, I sit down with innovative market leaders from the legal industry and beyond to learn from those who thrive in the face of adversity, challenge the status quo, and define what it means to be a true game changer.
This is Jessica, Head of Coaching Strategy at Crisp, and today we're flipping the script for another special edition episode to get Michael's take on how to transition away from networking commitments that lack applicable value, integrating new leadership into existing systems without losing strategic control, and how to exercise your authority as a firm owner without devaluing your team's input.
If you have immensely talented people and you start telling them what to do and you start micromanaging them, I'm not going to be innovative. I'm not going to be creative. Why, right? I'm not allowed to be anyway. And you get a fraction of the value of what that person could provide.
That's coming up on the Game Changing Attorney podcast. Hello, another AMMA.
Another AMMA. For those of you that are watching this, so most people listen to the podcast, but we also have the video version on Spotify and on YouTube. But if you're watching this, you'll see we're all dolled up today.
Not in the usual t-shirt.
Quiet luxury, right? No brand names, the labels here, but it's because we filmed our new hire bios today.
Because we're new hires.
Well, it's the bios. We filmed updated bios. So if you go to our website, you will see, I think it's on the About Us page.
Yeah.
Everybody has a bio where you have fun facts about people. And I noticed that we hadn't updated ours in a number of years. And I was looking 12 years old in this thing because it's probably my 2012 bio. I look like Johnny Drama from Entourage, where if anyone remembers that show, which was an incredible show on HBO, but Johnny Drama had his headshot, right? That he would go around and whenever he was trying to get picked up in show business, he share his headshot. But his headshot was from when he started his career. And now he was I think it was in his 40s or 50s, but the headshot was from his 20s. So that's what I felt like my new hire bio was like. So we filmed new ones, and these are always fun questions. It's fun facts of what's something you could eat every single day and never get tired of. What did you say?
What would you think I would say?
Nerds clusters.
That's a good guess. Anything sweet is always a good guess. However, I said cupcakes.
Cupcakes?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I said, I was
You're the most basic.
I said steak and sweets. It's this meal that I eat. It's steak and sweet potatoes.
You could literally eat that every
fries,
meal.
Yeah. All you need is an air fryer.
Correct.
What does an air fryer do, by the way?
I don't cook.
There's this, I think it just moves air around. I think it's just a convection oven, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right? Because we have this idea of an air fryer, right? It's it's a fryer, but without, the oil, and it's supposed to be clean and healthy. But
right.
I think it's just a convection oven.
Well, someone could fact check that.
I think that's what it is. All right. So then, there's another question, something along the lines of
a bucket list item.
Bucket list item, yeah.
Yeah. What was your bucket list item?
Full distance Ironman.
Well,
we'll see. We're working on it.
We're working on that one.
What about you?
To take the girls to both the motherlands, so to Russia and to Vietnam. However, there's a few barriers to that at the current moment. One of those being their palates. One of them is not so sophisticated.
Oh, yeah. Well, the oldest will try new foods.
Yeah.
But, the funny thing to me about the youngest, Misha, is that when we were in Mexico, she said, I tried new foods. And it was just she always eats bread and crackers. So she just tried new bread.
It was a new bread. And she was so proud of herself.
I'm trying new foods. Yesterday was funny. I got home and she said, Daddy, the windows are broken. And I'm like, what? Right?
What?
And yeah, so she's like, the windows are broken. And then she runs, we run to the playroom and she's made the whole thing up. But she's basically acting like a superhero. He's like, we have to save them. I was like, who are we saving? There's the ladybugs.
Yes.
So, and then the other question was, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you? And I mean, somebody answered, like, there's been some crazy answers. Like, one person said they were in witness protection. I'm not going to elaborate on that, but when I heard that, I was like, stop rolling the footage. I got to hear this story. Like, that's incredible. Yeah. What was the crazy thing that's ever happened to you?
Well, I said it happened to me, but it really happened for me. And that would be the 2022 Mercedes-Benz Game Changer Summit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Super Bowl Summit.
Yeah.
That was definitely up there. I gave an answer because I was sitting there, maybe it was like more of like a meta answer. I was like, man, all of this. Like the fact that I talked about just, when we started the business, 2012, $500 to my name, first generation immigrant coming here originally back in 1990, like English wasn't my first language, like et cetera, getting to the point where we could start the business and then growing it to this point and like being where we are with the team that we have, with the clients that we have. I mean, that's the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. Like I never saw that coming. I mean, the original plan was like, buy a camera, take pictures of plants and flowers and have like a nice hobby, that I have for my lifetime. And then, obviously we've scaled well beyond that. So, okay. All right. Well, if you're interested in learning more about us or other members of the CRISP team, you can check out all of the new hire bios, all 100 plus of them, and fun facts about every CRISP team member on the CRISP website at crisp.co. But this is the AMMA. Let's shift gears. We'll answer your questions. You guys submit the questions. You text us at 404-531-7691. It is a real number that we see. You see every single question that comes in. I know you compiled the questions. And if you were tuning in for the very first time, we do several types of episodes on this podcast. We've got the interview format, one-on-one. We have a guest that comes on. It's a podcast. We've had some phenomenal guests and some that I'm actually really looking forward to. Episodes that we've already recorded, but we'll be launching in the coming weeks. And then we got the encore editions. Those are episodes that we have done previously that we kind of bring back some of the most popular episodes. You get a chance to re-listen to like David Goggins. We had John Maxwell, and just some really, really incredible episodes we've had over the years. But this is the AMMA. So let's get to the questions, Jessica. What do we have this week?
All right, we will jump right in with question number 1. Hey, Michael, I've been pretty consistent about attending my local bar association gathering, and honestly, I'm getting nothing out of them anymore and wondering if I should stop going. I enjoy the networking aspect, and the group is pretty good about sharing their problems and advice, but most of it feels like it doesn't apply to my specific situation. When it's my turn, I update them on what's going well, but I don't really have problems I need their help with. My challenges are too unique to my market and practice area. Should I just quit going?
It depends what you're looking to get out of it. I mean, if the goal is networking, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
If you feel like that the challenges you're experiencing are very unique to the level of practice that you're at and what you're doing, I think maybe you're in the wrong room. You just got to find a room that's more aligned with where you're at or where you're going. I think that's we have this saying at CRISP that you want to always make your future greater than your past, and you want to surround yourself with people who remind you more of where you're going than where you've been. So again, it's so important to find the right room. And we talk about this at the Game Changer Summit. So the last few that we've done have been invitation only, the CRISP members only. Last year was members only. This year will be members only. And we talk about this in the sense that it's not just about who's in the room, it's about who's not in the room. And just to ensure that you have, something we're talking about in our Q1 workshops is truth-seeking groups and the importance of surrounding yourself with people that aren't just there to provide you with comfort, but really can help challenge you to grow, right? So this is the danger with, I'm going to kind of go off on a tangent here because this is like a simple answer, right? This is kind of like, respectfully, this is kind of like a boring question, right? You're going to a thing that's not serving you, you're not getting value from it, but you have certain, things that you need. You just probably have to relocate yourself to another room that can provide you with said value.
I think they're looking for validation.
I think that's it, right? So don't beat yourself up. You can outgrow things. Why do they call it happy hours? Because everybody's miserable, right? That's another thing, right? But I think there's this idea that when people talk about support, because I think this is probably a more interesting question. I'm kind of making one up for myself, maybe for the people listening. What is support really? And to surround yourself with people who support you, because there's sometimes family and friends who love you, and they like what love is and what support is can be two very different things. So love is that if you are feeling down, they'll tell you it's no big deal. You should relax. You should take it easy. Don't worry about it. Or if you have an idea, they're like, that's a great idea. You should absolutely do that. Like, that's just because they love you.
Tell you what you want to hear.
Like, they tell you what you want to hear. Exactly. It's like AI. Like when you're talking to AI and you like ask some questions, like, absolutely. That's
great idea.
Exactly what you should be thinking, right? And that's not really helpful because it's just confirmation bias. Alternatively, the people who like truly support you, and again, I'm trying to distinguish between like love and support, because sometimes like there's unconditional love, and people tell you what you want to hear because they don't want to hurt you. They don't want to hurt your feelings. But if you're in, like, let's say a so-called truth-seeking group, which is, it could be a mastermind, it could just be certain mentors that you call upon, they will tell you what you need to hear, which is sometimes tough love, but ultimately is what helps to get you to where you're trying to go. It helps identify blind spots, things you might not be seeing. So whenever I'm speaking to a mentor, my question is always like, where am I wrong? Like, what am I not seeing here? Because I'm not interested in where I'm right. And I mean, I don't need you to yes me. I want to know, like, I'm trying to be better, right? I'm not, for me, the goal is not to feel better. The goal is to get better. So if the goal is to get better, then you can surround yourself with truth-seeking groups where the most important priority is making progress. And, you want to have a certain level of dissent and within the group, so you have different perspectives. And that way it's not just, everybody saying, yeah, it's awesome. You should totally do that, right? Go buy up all those NFTs. Go and, go buy Bitcoin. You should totally invest in crypto. So anyway, I digress. But my point is that the most important thing you can do if your goal is to advance in your career, certainly, but also I would argue personally as well, is to just find the right room. And then the other piece of this is some engineer did a study on this I think I saw it on X the other day. And this is like the most nerdy thing ever, where, and I'm not even saying you should do this. This is a terrible idea. But they created like a data set of all the relationships that they had. And they basically deduced that it was very difficult to add new relationships, given the time it would take to ramp up new people. And because it's like, you've got your core group of people, and it's very hard to add new friends because you only have a limited amount of time that you want to spend with people, right? So if you add people to that, sometimes that's going to take away from other people that you could be spending time with, or other things you could be doing, spending time with your family, your kids, etc. So it's very difficult to expand peer groups in that way. But I highly recommend a mastermind, mentor, coach, something like that. Absolutely.
All right, question number 2. Michael, I'm at my wit's end. I recently hired a managing partner to help me with our day-to-day legal operations, but I feel like she just does not understand the business. She keeps trying to change our systems based on what she says was successful in her past experiences, but I have to stay involved because she doesn't fully understand these changes won't work at our firm. She's capable at executing tasks, but when it comes to strategic operational decisions, I need to be in the room because I have contacts she doesn't have. She seems frustrated that I override some of her suggestions, but isn't that my job as CEO? I feel like if I completely step back, things won't be done the way they should be.
I have a question. Why'd you hire her?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you hired somebody, and then when they came in to do things, you didn't have confidence in them doing things, and you didn't trust them, and ultimately you're finding yourself having to micromanage them. So my question is, I mean, again, I'm just kind of looking at it from the other side. Why did you hire this person? Like, if you find yourself in a situation where you're questioning the judgment of a leader in terms of everything that they are doing, but you hired this person specifically to help you with the things that you're questioning their judgment on, then it sounds like there might be just a misalignment of fit, or a misalignment of like expectations, perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I can think here, is just from the standpoint that if you're unhappy with how she's doing things or decisions that she's making, or you're feeling that she doesn't have enough context, or she's doing things like the way she did things previously, then why didn't, this seems like questions during an interview that you would ask.
Correct.
To gain confidence of saying I mean, the idea of hiring somebody to join your practice oftentimes is to solve a problem, right? So it's just essentially they're coming in with a certain level of expertise or capability that you don't have, that by hiring this person, they can bring that expertise to your firm and you could grow. But if you're hiring somebody in a leadership role and then you're telling them what to do, then they're not really a leader. And it kind of begs the question of what were the expectations when you hired them?
Correct.
So I don't know. I think that deserves a conversation, like aligning on expectations. But if you just don't trust this person, you don't have confidence in what they're doing, and yet you expect them to be doing the things that they're doing, probably not the right fit.
Yeah, it's funny you heard that, because that's why I said there's a lot to unpack. There's that side of it. The other side that I read in that also was like, are you just getting in the way?
Yeah.
Like, maybe this person does actually know what they're doing and you just won't let go and you won't get it out of the way.
Absolutely. That could also be true.
Yeah.
So if, let's say to everything I just said, if the person who asked this question is saying, well, I hired them because they had success based on where they came from as another law firm, and then I brought them in, and it's like, okay, if you did hire them for their experience,
right,
then why would you not allow them to apply their experience.
Correct.
That's the way I would look at it, right? So like if you made a decision, you say, hey, this person's going to help level us up based on X, Y, and Z that they did previously, they come in and you're not letting them do anything, then they can't be successful either. So you got to figure out which one it is, right? Either you hired this person and they had no experience and no capability that you needed, and obviously you're micromanaging them and it's like, I don't know why you hired them, or they did have those things and you're not empowering them to be able to actually make decisions and act.
Right. But there's a major problem either way. All right. To close us out today with question number 3, I have an am I the asshole situation. I hired a senior attorney who specializes in a very niche practice area. He's good at his work and we've been practicing about the same amount of time, but I find myself continually frustrated with his pushback on my decisions on case strategy. I finally just told him that I'm the owner and should always have final say on how we handle cases. Now he's been less vocal in meetings and I'm wondering if he's checked out or if he's finally learned to trust my judgment. Should I be concerned? I want input from my team, but at the end of the day, I need people who align with my vision, not question it constantly. I hear 2 things again on this.
Yeah, it was the same guy asks the question again, right? So it very similar to the last question. Is I understand, and I say this as like an owner, founder of a business, that this is your baby and you're used to things being done a certain way and you want to make sure that you don't compromise certain standards. At the same time, you really have to, like, these to me seem like more of like personal situations. Correct. To where you got to figure out what your goals are.
Yes.
And if your goals are to do everything the way you want them done and you want to be the one doing them, then you can stay small. Yeah. If your goal is to grow and scale, then that's going to take a team and it's going to take taking some help. Taking some help means that sometimes people who are providing the help are going to make mistakes and sometimes they're going to be wrong. But that's no different than the fact that not every decision you make is right. And you also make mistakes. So it's ultimately, if you want to grow and scale, you have to take the help. And if you're hiring people to provide the help and you're not allowing them to help, then they're not able to be very valuable to you. And it's probably not a good use of money.
Correct.
But I sense that these, again, are challenges with delegation and challenges with delegating authority. Because if you say, I'm the boss, right? If you have to assert yourself, I mean, look, my goal coming into meetings is like, it's funny. I was saying this in the new hire bios, but I don't think it's going to make the cut. And they're like, what's something unique about you? And I said, I'm a fucking idiot, right? And my goal is to come into a room and with our leadership team and be the lowest IQ person in that room. I don't need to tell everyone I'm the boss. Who cares? Let's just win.
Right.
I don't need to remind people how important I am or anything like that. Like, I don't look at, you work for me. Like, that's just so silly.
I hate that
Like,
mindset.
how could you get to where you're going? I mean, I've said this before. I got to a certain point on my own. And that was the limit of how far, like, my grit, work ethic, et cetera, could take me. Everything else, probably past $1 million in revenue, has been thanks to an amazing team. So I don't look at it as these people work for me. I look at it as I work with these people. It's completely the opposite. Like, if you can achieve your vision on your own, then why do you need them? But the reality of it is you can't.
Yeah.
So these people are helping to make that vision a reality and make all the good things that you have in your life. It's not thanks to your efforts. It's thanks to the efforts of a lot of people who come in every single day and help to make that real. So if you're doing one of these things, you're reaffirming, like, I'm the boss or whatever. Now, that being said, sometimes you do have to exercise judgment. And depending on the scale of a decision, you don't want to have like a one-way door where if this decision ends up being the wrong one, that it could wipe the whole practice out. Yeah, you want to step in if there's something like that, or it's compromising some like firm standard or ethical standard or something like that, of course. But for the most part, I think people should be able to do 90+% of their decisions that are in line with their accountabilities on their own without necessarily having to consult you for every decision. I mean, we did a previous MMA. We talked about the fact that leaders can be, especially like founders, can be a bit of a bottleneck when everything has to go through you. And I've experienced this myself. Like, I used to be very, very bad at this. Everything, I would sign off on font sizes, what every shirt would look like. There's certain things I still do just because, I enjoy it. But at the same time, let's take a summit, for example. There's probably over 1,000 decisions that go into that. And it used to be I'd sign off on all 1,000. But at the last summit, I probably signed off on maybe 10, max 20 out of the 1,000.
Yeah.
And everything else came together. And it was great. It's probably the best one we ever did. But my point is just that, like, you got to let people do their job. And if you let people do their job and they can't do their job, well, maybe they're not the right person.
That's different.
Or maybe you didn't develop them properly, or they're not clear on what the expectations are. But usually the reason why somebody's not performing is because either they don't have autonomy, they don't have clarity, or you're not letting them do their job. So it's very rarely due to a lack of capability. Sometimes, but again, not as common. So in this type of situations, like you hired an attorney in a very niche practice area to help like kind of come in and level up the firm. Well, I mean, if you hire them for their expertise, why not let them exercise their expertise?
Yeah. And most people don't want to work for the guy who's like, I'm the boss.
And if you do that too many times, they're going to be like, you're like, are they checked out? What I've learned is that if you have immensely talented people and you start telling them what to do and you start micromanaging them, they do check out because they're like, dude, I can put my brain on rest mode, right? Like you have like a video game console, you put it to sleep, we're not using it, it's awesome. But they do that because they're like, look, this person is going to dictate every single thing I'm supposed to do. So now I'm not going to actually
think.
I'm not going to think. I'm not going to like be innovative. I'm not going to be creative. Like why, right? I'm not allowed to be anyway. And you get a fraction of the value of what that person could provide. So I think you think too much of yourself. And I think we as leaders need to think less of ourselves. Oftentimes we as leaders think far too much of ourselves. And if you think a little bit less of yourself and a little bit more of all the people around you who help to make that vision a reality, you'll be a lot more successful. You'll be a lot more grateful. And I read something along the lines of, this is actually today, where the happiest people are the ones that find things to be happy about. And the most grateful people are the ones that find things to be grateful about. Like just whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, I woke up today. I'm eating cottage cheese and I like the taste of cottage cheese. Like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like seeking out things and people to be grateful for. And when you have that type of mindset, like I think those are the types of leaders that people like to work with.
Absolutely. All right. We'll see you next time.
Until next time.
You've been listening to the Game Changing Attorney podcast with Michael Mogill. If you found this episode valuable, here are 3 free ways that we can help you grow your law firm. Number 1, download the first chapter of Michael's book absolutely free at gamechangingattorney.com. Number 2, you can shoot Michael a text at 404-531-7691 and ask him any question you'd like. You might just hear the answer on the next episode. And finally, number 3, if you can leave this podcast a 5-star review, it will help us gain access to more influential thought leaders and bring their lessons learned here to you. For more information on this episode, see the show notes in your podcast app or visit legalpodcast.com.